Welcome back. It's Sleeptember. September is also National Recovery Month. We know the pandemic has caused an increase in anxiety and put a strain on our mental and overall health. So joining me now is psychotherapist Kelly Kitley with some resources for people who may be struggling. Good morning, Kelly.
Hi, good morning, Mal. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thanks so much for joining us. You know, one of the things that you say is that now more than ever, stay close to one another.
Absolutely. In this pandemic, so many of us are isolated, and depression is really bred in isolation. And so, check on one another. Just because we are physically distancing doesn't mean we need to be emotionally distant, and check on one another.
Are there some free online screening tools that you think are valuable?
Mental Health America is a national platform that anybody can access through the internet, and it has a series of questions to ask people who might be struggling with mental health or substance abuse. And so, being able to fill that out first and foremost can be a foundation for somebody to understand maybe some of the signs or symptoms that they might be experiencing.
I'd love it if you would talk about yourself for a second,
Sure.
including your book, because your recovery is such an important part of not just your own story, but also in helping your patients and other people.
Absolutely. I have made a decision to recover out loud. And the reason that's been so important, not only for me, but for other people that I work with, is because a lot of times, historically, alcohol abuse or substance abuse was something that people felt very shameful about. And with 12-step programs that are available to everybody for free, there was this kind of understanding that you belong to this club, but nobody else could know that you were part of this club. And I found myself when I was looking for help, not knowing where to turn. And so being an advocate for living a life of recovery and helping other people find resources, and knowing that, I'm a mom of four and I'm a therapist, and I studied so long about mental health and addiction, and it wasn't until about 8 years ago that I found myself struggling and self-medicating with alcohol. And so being able to be a face of recovery is really important.
Kelly, how do people know? So, we had a guest on the show last week talking about sober tranquility, which is a reset for alcohol. It's taking a 30 to 90-day break and then reevaluating your relationship with alcohol. How do people know if they need to abstain and go to a 12-step program like you mentioned, like you did, or possibly learn a new habit or a new way of interacting with something like alcohol?
Well, I think it's really important for people to recognize that alcohol abuse is a spectrum disorder. And so oftentimes we think of somebody who is an alcoholic over on this end, and then somebody who drinks one or two drinks occasionally on this end. And then there's all this gray area in between. And so if somebody notices that they've been drinking pretty frequently, daily drinking, multiple drinks, I wouldn't recommend that they stop cold turkey, because that could offer very life threatening consequences. And somebody would need to appropriately detox, and go to treatment for that, or a hospital for detox. But if you're starting to notice some symptoms, as your guest prior to me coming on was talking about sleep. If sleep is interrupted, if you're noticing a shift in mood, anxiety or depression, short fused, not being able to feel motivated, and just the routine of turning to alcohol to numb out, I think it's really important to take a look at how is alcohol working in your life. And certainly being able to moderate is a great first step, but also talking to somebody about it. Or if you notice somebody's drinking has increased, I think it's important to bring awareness to that in a really gentle way. As you mentioned, alcohol abuse has increased almost 30% since March due to the pandemic. And so I think we're going to find a lot of dependence and abuse even coming out of the pandemic, and people are going to need help.
Kelly, thank you so much. I love that your story is an example of not just helping others and living in your own truth, but letting people know that there is hope and there is healing. So thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, Molly. And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate it. I want to remind people that the name of your book is Myself. People can find it everywhere, basically. There's also a rally that you told us about, and I appreciate that. It's for recovery, a rally for recovery coming up this Saturday from 11 until 3:30. Kelly will be the keynote speaker, and Tom Farley, Chris Farley's brother, will also be speaking. So to find out more, you can go to wisconsinvoicesforrecovery.org.